Thanks for coming. It's nice to see so many familiar faces in the crowd today. We are going to do this next session on college academic advising, our office, and the Center for College Student Success. My name is Kathy Ford. I'm the director of the College Academic Advising Office, and I'm joined by my colleague Devin Moore, who is the director of the Center for College Student Success and an assistant dean of students in the college. Here's our sort of brief agenda. We're hoping to each talk a little bit about our offices for a few minutes and then allow time at the end for questions and any Q&A that you might be interested in. So we're going to give first an overview of the Dean of Students office in the college and the 5 offices within the Dean of Students. We're going to talk in a little bit more detail about the College Academic Advising Office, the Center for College Students and Success, and then again time for questions and answers. So when we say the Dean of Students office in the college, this is sort of an umbrella term for the 5 offices within the Dean of Students office. We work with students. We're dedicated professionals. We aim to help students as they navigate their time through the college, making sure that they reach their academic path and beyond their time in the college. We like to say that we're just great at primary resources. We're good first contact for students. We connect students throughout their time here, and we aim to foster meaningful relationships across the board as far as advising is concerned. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about the College Academic Advising Office, but Devin was going to tag in and talk about some of the other offices within the Dean of Students office.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, we just wanted to go over some of the other offices in our unit in case you hear about them and interact with them. We wanted to give you a good overview. So first off, I want to mention college programming and orientation, and you're already in that right now, obviously. Our great colleagues are the ones who orchestrated this family orientation, all the orientation events that you've already been to. They're a phenomenal team. They're running around making sure everything's going to go smoothly for you this afternoon for convocation. But orientation is not the only thing that they do. They really work to develop other events and opportunities for students to build community through shared experiences. So they have signature events for the classes throughout the course of the year, and they're also responsible for ensuring that graduation is a beautiful celebration. So in 4 years, you'll come back here in June, and you'll also reconnect with that great team and the work that they do. I also want to mention our colleagues at the College Center for Research and Fellowships. This is a fairly new office within the Dean of Students, and they offer a fantastic range of services, in particular about supporting and advising students as they pursue sort of postgraduate opportunities and nationally competitive scholarships and fellowships, things you might have heard of like the Rhodes, the Marshall, the Fulbright. These are very intensive processes, and it's really fantastic that we have a dedicated team to support students through those processes. And they also help students think about their goals, early on in their academic careers so that they can really plan for those and build experiences into their time here that really can support them to their postgraduate goals. And one of the big areas that they focus on now is undergraduate research. So your student may be interested in pursuing research, maybe not sure what that means or what that looks like. How do I do research in the humanities? How do I get involved in a lab in the chemistry department? This office is dedicated to helping students identify those kinds of opportunities and how to access them, both in terms of working with individual professors here on campus, but also opportunities off campus, both nationally and internationally. So they're a great team there. And then finally, I want to mention the Office of College Community Standards, which is our newest unit. And these are student support professionals who really work to promote persistence and well-being, as well as academic and social integrity. So they do work in certain areas of student conduct, but they also really work to support students progress. So they help support students if they might want to take a leave of absence. What does that look like? So we have students take leave of absence for various reasons, whether it's perhaps they want to go work on a presidential campaign, so put their academic career on pause for a quarter or two, or sometimes they just need to take some time away to work on their own health and well-being. this is a team that will help the students make that transition out and make sure they have a successful transition back in. So we just wanted to mention some of those folks, just so you have a better sense of sort of the wide range of services that we offer through the Dean of Students. But as we mentioned, we're primarily going to focus on these first two. So I'll let Kathy jump in and give you a really good overview of the College Academic Advising Office.
So hopefully you have seen the Dean of Students office in the college. We are located in Harper with the iconic reading room, Harper Library with the iconic reading room, and I hope you've been able to see that. We have all our offices spread over the second floor of Harper, the first floor of Harper, up in the tower, so we're kind of all over the place there, so it's a good first stop for students. One of the questions that we frequently get during these sessions has to do with FERPA and academic advising, and so I thought I would devote a slide to that kind of early in our presentation. You all may be familiar with FERPA, which is a federal law that is the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, which gives students access to their educational records and opportunity to seek to have records amended, and it gives them some control over disclosure of information from those records. So that is a technical law, but what does that mean for us? We have a policy within the College Academic Advising Office that says that our relationship is primarily with the student. We consider families and parents partners in that relationship, but really that one-on-one relationship is with the student. So anytime a parent contacts our office, it is our policy to contact the student and say, hey, your parent contacted me, they had questions about sort of academic progress. And we just want to make it clear to the student that that relationship is really between the student and the advisor. But often when we talk about FERPA, people's minds go sort of to the other end of the spectrum, which is like, what if there is something terrible that happens? Does that mean you're not going to contact me? And no, that is not the case at all. We will contact parents, or we're able to contact parents or guardians in the event of a health or a safety concern. And we also will contact parents or guardians in the event that a student's status changes. And what that means when I say a student's status, we mean their academic status. So students here need to stay on good academic status by finishing at least 3 courses on time every quarter with a GPA of 2.0 or above. If a student does not achieve that, if they finish, say, fewer than 3 courses, or if they have a GPA below 2.0, they would be subject to academic review. And if that was the first instance, they could be put on probation, which is it's something that we take seriously, obviously, but it is not something that gets reported on the transcript or anything like that. This is just kind of a notice to the student saying, hey, you finished fewer courses than you needed to, or you had a lower GPA than you should have had. This is our time to intervene, to make sure that you have the resources that you need to be successful. And in the event that the student doesn't meet the terms of academic probation, meaning that the following quarter they finish on time at least 3 with a GPA above 2.0 or above, it's at that point that a student could be subject to academic suspension. That doesn't happen terribly often, but when it does happen, that's an opportunity for us to kind of press pause with a student and say, there's something here that's not working out right. We need for you to be away from the college for a year, do something different, not anything academic, figure this out, we'll work together, we'll be in touch with you over that time. And it is not uncommon for a student who has been suspended for academic reasons to come back at the end of their suspension time and be extremely successful finishing up their courses. So again, this is not something that happens often, but when it does, there are definitely resources available for students. But we will be in touch with you at points like that. But I want to turn more to sort of how the College Academic Advising Office works with students and the resources that we provide. As you may know, students are assigned to their academic advisor based on the residence hall or house that they live in. which means that your student's advisor will also be the advisor for a number of other people in their residence hall or in their house. And that way, we're able to build really good relationships and engagement with our partners in housing. So we work closely with the assistant directors within housing, with the resident heads, with the resident deans, and it gives us a chance to just have extra layers of support and extra eyes on each student. As you know, students now have a 2-year housing requirement, and we're excited for the opportunities to engage with students outside our offices within housing. All advisors now have a meal plan, and we will be eating once a week with the students. So we're gonna sort of figure out how to work that best. It will probably be something like emailing the students in a house that you have a lot of advisees saying, hey, I'm gonna come to the residence hall for breakfast on Tuesday. Come join me if you're interested. I'm happy just to chat about anything, but we have pre-registration coming up, so maybe you have some questions about that and we can have a chat about that. So we're really looking forward to developing those relationships outside of our offices as well. But our goal with working with students is that we're going to get to know students well over the course of their time here. Academic advisors know and understand the college curriculum as well as all of the degree requirements. Like I said, we develop that one-on-one relationship with a student. We're going to meet with them regularly in our offices to support the creation of an individualized path to graduation. And that's important because the path that might be good for one student may not be the best path for another. So we're treating everybody as an individual and sort of figuring out the best way for them to navigate what they need to do in order to be successful. We are very knowledgeable about campus resources. We kind of often joke here that everything is an acronym, so you'll hear a lot of acronyms thrown around, but we are great at being able to serve as a primary resource for students and be able to match them to resources that will be very useful to them. We're going to respond quickly and accurately to students' questions and to their concerns, and we help students define and achieve success. And so for some students, that's going to look different than other students. We also work very closely with all of the academic departments, and each major and each minor has a faculty member associated with that who functions as the director of undergraduate studies. And so when students are getting more engaged in their majors and more engaged in their minors, we're able to give them recommendations of who to talk to in those departments for more discipline-specific information. Right now, we're getting ready to meet with all of our incoming students, and all advisors will be meeting with their first years and first year transfer students in a big group meeting, either Monday morning or Tuesday morning. In addition to that, there's time for optional one-on-one appointments during orientation to discuss autumn quarter registration. And then as we move into the academic year, students in their first year are required to meet with their advisor at least once a quarter. So they're going to do that between, say, second-ish week and 7th week of the quarter. So we'll be able to check in with every student, find out how things are going, make recommendations, find out sort of who they are and what's interesting to them. I always say to students, the more your advisor knows about you, the more helpful your advisor can be to you. So when we hear about different opportunities and we know that your student is into, whatever, into X, and there's an opportunity that presents itself, we're able to make those nice matches. And we're also, in addition to that required quarterly conference, we're available over email, over the phone for quick questions, and always, always available for additional meetings. So that meeting once a quarter is really just the minimum. We are very encouraging of students scheduling additional appointments. And I will come back at the end, talk a little bit more about adjusting to school, but then we're going to hear from Devin about the Center for College Student Success.
Thank you, Kathy. And before I jump in, I should just note that all of the offices in the Dean of Students office are committed to your student success. I'm going to talk a little bit about the specific population of students that we primarily work with in what we call CCSS. But before I jump in, I recognize some familiar faces from the Family Resource Fair yesterday, if you were able to stop by. I had so many great questions, and one of the things that came up was questions about just sort of academic success resources specifically. And so I just wanted to do a quick plug for a couple of things. First, the Core Tutor Program is a program we have that's a free tutoring service that's provided by the college. Actually, one of our colleagues runs this program. So it's run out of the Dean of Students office, and there are both upperclassmen and graduate student tutors who are available for free in most subjects in the core between Sunday and Thursday nights. And that's a free service that's also located just off of that main Harper Memorial Library reading room. It's in the Stewart Hall, actually, but it's all connected, and it's a very easy resource for students to access. A lot of students use this resource, so we very much normalize, it's okay, it's something that's really great and easy, and lots of students use it. So feel free to mention that to your student if they need it. Second, the Academic Skills Assessment Program. This is a unique opportunity offered by the Student Counseling Service for students to have a one-on-one consultation about study and time management strategies. Who all would like that? Time management strategies? I mean, that's an ongoing issue for students and, well, for all of us, I imagine. But it's really fantastic for students to have the opportunity to really dive in and develop some new techniques and new ways of thinking about how they work and how they manage their time and how they prioritize and how they don't procrastinate, all these things. So quick plug for that. But overall, I do want to mention that there are so many resources that it can be overwhelming. I know you're probably not going to remember all the things that you learned today. Your students certainly won't, but they have a wealth of knowledge in their academic advisor. And so just to emphasize again, they are a fantastic starting point for any and all questions. Students, who are maybe wanting to work on their procrastination or what it may be, they can talk to their advisor about it, and they're going to point them in the right direction. So just a quick notice, because I get a lot of questions about that as the Director of College Student Success. What we do focus on in CCSS is supporting and celebrating students who might identify in some way as FLI, so FLY. That is first generation college students, lower income students, and or immigrant students. We work very closely to coordinate the Odyssey scholarship program, the Chicago Academic Achievement Program. We also support other programs like QuestBridge. Though I do want to say we focus on these groups of students. Any student in the college is welcome to use the resources that we provide through the center. So just keep that in mind. So first and foremost, I want to mention we are very fortunate to have an actual space on campus. We are one of the very few Ivy Plus institutions that has a space like this for FLY students. So we're very fortunate that it is a priority for the college. It's a very welcoming lounge/study space. Students come and they hang out. We have great snacks, things like that. So lots of students do come by, and all of the staff in our office are located in that space, so students can pop in. We have an open door policy. So the number one resource that students use, and hundreds of students use this resource every quarter, is our textbook lending library. Students can come to our office. This quarter will be opening on Monday, September 30th at 9 a.m. It's a first come, first served service, but students can log onto our website, see what textbooks we have, and realize, oh my gosh, you have this calculus textbook that it's kind of expensive and maybe I can borrow it from you. And so we do that for hundreds of students. We also have a laptop lending program. Laptops are pretty crucial for students, for them to be able to do their papers and their problem sets. There are fantastic computing resources available in the residence halls and in the libraries, but a lot of students do prefer to do work on the personal laptop if possible. But sometimes these things crash all of a sudden, like when you're in the middle of your 10-page paper or other things like that. If that happens, students can come to our office, and we have a suite of brand new machines that they can borrow up to a quarter. So it's a long-term rental as they kind of figure out their next steps and how to budget for their next machine if that's what they'd like to do. So yeah, we have that as a resource, also a link on our website. And then we have a free print station. Again, there are printing resources in the residence halls and libraries, but it's nice for students to be able to budget and to know that they can print up to 100 free pages a quarter by using the resources in our office. Otherwise, it costs 13 cents a page for the other resources. Just because more and more things are posted online digitally, sometimes students like to be able to print them out to annotate, things like that. And we also recognize that just like the laptop issue. Other things just might come up unexpectedly for students, and they might have need for emergency financial resources. Something might come up with families, various things might come up medically, students break their glasses, things like that. We're able to meet one-on-one with students and help them identify the best resources, whether that might be potential grants or loans available through the college and the university to help support them and make sure that they can move on and be successful during their time here. Finally, I don't want to go into too much detail, but we offer so many other workshops and events and opportunities for students to engage and learn about other resources on campus. We partner often with other offices to make those connections. And support is really important. Mentoring is a really important component of what we do. We have 2 programs. Maroon Mentors is our peer-led program. Fly Champions is a program where we match students with faculty, staff, and alumni who identify as FLRI or Fly Allies. We also offer the Butterfly Support Group, which is a therapy group for undocumented students or other students who might be affected by their immigration status. And we collaborate frequently with student organizations to help continue to identify ongoing needs of our student populations. Finally, I mentioned this before, but we really value the one-on-one holistic support that we provide students, whether that's through formal appointments that they can make by visiting our website or just walk-ins to our office. Those conversations can be really beneficial and make sure that we get them what they need. So we'll have time for questions about all of that at the end, but before we do that, we really wanted to focus on some common things that come up for students in our conversations as they think about their adjustment to college, just so you're aware of some things to look out for, and also some ways that you can be most helpful to your student.
Thank you, Devin. So one of the things that we hear a lot about is students who come here, your students are just the top-notch students from all of their high schools, and they come here and they're thrown into classes with all of the other top-notch students as well. So for all students, this is a real period of adjustment. They're sort of worrying about things like fitting in, but they're also having to think about redefining what good grades might mean. So whereas a student might not have had to work as hard in high school and get an A, that's not necessarily going to be the case here. And with the core, I like to say there's always something that students are really good at, but there's always something that's going to be a challenge. Everybody is challenged by some part of the core. And so in humanities, for example, this might be a student adjusting to receiving the first C on a paper. Lots of times students will come and talk to their advisor, talk to CCSS about, I wrote my first paper, it was horrible, this is it, I'm done for, I won't be successful here, and that is not the case at all. So this is really just them learning how to work, learning to know what's expected of them in classes, and then learning to seek out resources which are available so that they can be successful. They're obviously going to be dealing with missing loved ones. They're going to come here, for every student who came here thinking like, I know I want to major in biology and I'm going to prepare for medical school. They take that first biology class and think like, oh, no, I don't want to do that anymore. What am I going to do now? Or sort of on the flip side of that, the students who say, everybody else around me knows what they want to do. They've known since they were 7 that they wanted to major in econ. They have their spreadsheet planned out with all of their econ courses already, and I don't even know what econ is or if I would want to do that or not. So for every student who thinks they know exactly what they want to do, that may be the case. For some of those, they're going to change, but we welcome students who are undecided. That's really what the core is for, and so students don't need to feel nervous about that at all. The core curriculum represents 15 courses plus a language milestone, and so students are going to have exposure to lots of different discipline in that time. The goal is to finish your core classes within 2 years, and in that time, you have exposure, like I said, to lots of different areas, and you'll be able to see sort of what direction you do want to go in. There's almost no wrong choices in a student's first year. There are very few things that they can't sort of move into another direction. That gets a little bit more challenging, say, in second or third year. I mean, if you think in your third year, I want to major in Germanic studies and I've never taken German before, that's not likely going to happen. But there's lots of time for taking different classes and experimenting with different things. So that might be something that you hear about from your student. But, you know, I wanted to transition into sort of like what you can do to support your student. And obviously, you're going to be sympathetic. You are talking with them about transitioning from how high school was different to what college is going to be like and some of the challenges and expectations. And I would really recommend that you ask them about everything. So ask them, are they sleeping? Are they eating? Are they meeting people? Getting out? Participating in house activities, you know, taking advantage of being in a wonderful city like Chicago. And then remind them, I mean, you don't have to memorize all of the resources that we're mentioning today, although of course everything will be posted online. Remind them that there are resources, and if you're hearing from them, remind them that there are people they can turn to who are just very interested in helping match them with different resources so that they can be successful. And then sort of the biggest challenge for some parents, I think, is just resisting that urge to step in and solve problems. We hear from parents occasionally, and it's funny because often people will say, and you know, they say this with the best of intentions, and they're just trying to be helpful. But for every parent that I talk to, they always say, I don't want to be that parent. And we understand you're calling because you're concerned about your student. Call, talk to me, and we'll figure out sort of a way to get them hooked up with resources and not try to have you solve that problem. That's probably the sort of the most important thing that you can do this year. I wanted to leave our ways to contact us up next, and then we can transition into Q&A. We have somebody eventually who'll come in with microphones. But for now, I think Devin will do the passing around. But here is the College Academic Advising website, as well as an email address. If you email that address, that will go into our front desk. And let's say you don't know who your student's advisor is, that's fine. Just send an email to that address, and we'll be able to get that to the right place. And then, of course, the web address for the College Center for Student Success, and then their general email address as well. So thank you.